Alright, so I'm Ryan, otherwise known as Miscellaneous Music, and if you caught my last upload, I mentioned at the end of the video how I wanted to do a John Coltrane memorabilia video, but I figure, I might as well just bunch of different things up together and kind of go through it in one video, just because I don't have too many pieces. I do have a different array of jazz memorabilia, such as, magazines, signed letters, booklet ads, signed records, a few different things I'll get into. But in this video I got on the table John Coltrane's 1960 March 28th Dusseldorf concert with Stan Getz, Oscar Peterson, Jimmy Cobb, Wynton Kelly, and I think it has a few other guests too, at least from the same concert. It may be a different night, but this release has those players. But I know that there was a little bit more going on at the the recording session. So I guess I'll get started with my first one, which is a TV program ad that you'd find in one of those little booklets, the booklet guides and stuff like that, for Miles Davis's first presentation of Kind of Blue. So that would have been April 2nd of 1959, and they do Kind of Blue with a bit of a bigger group, although you still got the synonymous players to that record, such as Jimmy Cobb. I think Cannonball Adderley was there. John Coltrane was definitely there, which is why it's one of my favorite recordings. And it's the one that everybody sees on YouTube, where Miles just lets Coltrane take that super long solo, but it's such a stellar solo. Probably one of my favorite John Coltrane solos. I may need to do a video on my favorite Coltrane solos, just because I've done a few other videos like that. But I figure, this is pretty important, at least to me. First live presentation of Kind of Blue. And it's something that I think is pretty important, given the fact that this reaches a wider audience than, a couple people walking through a record store and seeing Kind of Blue on the shelf. They may not pick it up. But if you have people who, were just sitting around the TV for their nightly program and they caught this, they definitely get into jazz, I'd think. At least, hearing that group, and then it followed up with Miles Davis and Gil Evans' orchestra type group. And there were a few great players in there, especially, on the trombone, and just an array of different people. So my next piece I got is the Ink Spots. This is sort of a compilation, but it's like a different selection of masters. And it's got signed autographs by all the members. Although they did replace a few people who I'm not too sure on their names or anything. But this is a pretty early find for me when I started record collecting. I think it was probably about a week in when I started buying. And I found this at a flea market for, I think it was $5. So I grabbed this. It's, like I said, it's got all their autographs, and there's some on the back too. I've always had it up on my wall, so I almost forgot to feature it in this video, but pulled it off of the wall and put it in here. So next one I got, little neat one that I figured I'd mention. It's a little candid photo of Count Basie, and you can see there's a, I'd say a pretty gorgeous lady, at least I'm assuming, on the side, kind of giving him a look. I think it's pretty neat. I think I got this for like 99 cents on an auction. I think it was from a music lawyer in California. Not too sure on any other details, though. I don't think you really need details with a piece like this. It's kind of blurry, but I think you get that effect of it is a candid photo and all that. So you got the number on the back too. So that's something relatively small, but I kind of favor. Next one I got is an ad for 4 for Train, Impulse Records. I think this is pretty important, given the fact that Coltrane, he lent Archie Shep a helping hand, getting him signed to Impulse Records. It's such an amazing, story with how Archie Shep came to John Coltrane's house, and he gave him a few lessons, and then Coltrane ended up talking to Bob Deal, and they got him signed. And I just think, you look at that, and then you look at how many releases and how important Archie Shep is to the jazz community now, and you listen to Archie Shep interviews, it's so enlightening just to hear, you know, his passion for Coltrane. You know, he looked up to him just as much as anybody else did back then. At least, you know, the players that were trying to play like him. But I think Archie Shep in particular kind of took on a new sound, and I think that was one of the reasons why Bob Deal, you know, gave him that chance and signed him. So that's one of my favorite ads that I got. And the next one I got is Photo signed by Mity Gaynor. I'm thinking this is like the late 50s. So it says to Cher, and then the other side was to Bob. This is a one from, I think it's like late 60s, maybe early 70s, because around that time she began wearing a lot of makeup. And I guess I should mention who Mity Gaynor is. She appeared in a lot of Broadway shows, at least that were aired in, you know, the theaters and stuff. So you had South Pacific, and then she also had a few solo records on Verve with a, you know, a bit of a big orchestral background. And I think that was pretty neat how Norman Granz ended up signing her. So next one I got is a Capitol News ad with Johnny Mercer, and I'm not going to open it up or anything. I did once before, and it had a few pictures of Dizzy Gillespie, which I thought was neat because I didn't know he was, you know, I didn't know he had anything going on with Capitol at the time, at least January 1949, because that's the date on this one. So I think I also seen Joe Stafford and Gordon McRae in the back of there for, like, you know, 78 advertisements. So I think stuff like that is pretty neat. And I picked it up because it has Johnny Mercer on it. Probably one of my favorite songwriters, one of my favorite male vocalists, I'd say at least. And then the next one I got, another Johnny Mercer piece. This one is actually a photo for CBS. CBS Press Photo with Margaret and Barbara Whiting on Those Whiting Girls. It was aired 8 to 8:30 p.m. Monday, July 29th. There is no year, so I'm guessing around like maybe 1954 or something like that, because I mean, at least Johnny Mercer looks, you know, to be of that age around that time. And I know that Margaret at least, as compared to Barbara, was super popular in the mid-50s. So then, next one I got, probably one of my favorite pieces that I picked up recently. This is a Kstar press photo, but not only that, I also have like 6 pages of a letter that was signed, and you know, such an amazing story on here too. I'll get into it after I got it. I have another little piece in here too, but here's another photo of Kstar that I really liked that came with it. I think it's also another press photo, but why I like this is because in the letter she kind of talks about how it's kind of a rough time for her in New York, and she's trying to find all the, you know, the club dates that she can get. And I think it was something to do with, maybe it was Warner Theater or something. It wasn't Warner Bros or anything like that, but I think it was called Warner Theater, and she got signed for a few nights there. And they also had the King Cole Trio, which is Nat King Cole's trio, and I thought that was pretty neat to see it mentioned in the letter. And she's writing to, I can't remember her name, but she's writing to one of her friends. I think she's like with a booking agency or something like that, or maybe a label, and just kind of telling her how she hasn't had, you know, too great a luck on finding, you know, work and stuff like that. It's 1948, around, you know, June. Here's one that was also a part of it, and then there's the letter, or the envelope. You can see it's got a bunch of little different things on there. So really like that. I want to get it framed, but I just haven't got around to it. It's kind of a delicate thing to get framed, and I'm sure it'd be pretty timely process to do all that. So one of my favorite pieces that I got, at least my favorite downbeat pieces, is 1965 December 30th, Downbeat Magazine. So this is where they announced that John Coltrane had won the Downbeat Musicians Poll of the Year, and he also so he was the Jazz Man of the Year, and he also got Record of the Year with Love Supreme. And there's also a few other different things that he was voted for, like Composer, Jazz Man of the Year, which he won. Like I said, Hall of Fame he won. Record of the Year, Miles Davis won trumpet that year. He won tenor saxophone by a landslide. And then I think it was also neat to see Grisham Moncur III win third on trombone. Not first place like J.J. Johnson, but I thought that was pretty neat. Especially for the fact that he got over Curtis Fuller, who got fourth place. Because I thought Curtis Fuller might have a bigger liking. Miscellaneous Instruments, Roland Kirk was number 1. And then John Coltrane was number 2 with soprano sax. So a bunch of little different neat things in here. Neat reads too. Some Selmer ads, Gretsch drum ads and stuff for, they featured Elvin Jones, Tony Williams, Art Blakey, Max Roach. So it's still got all the original pull out ads and the mail back in. I think another neat thing was one of the free records that came with your subscription to Downbeat this year was the Ellington 66 record on Reprise, which is Frank Sinatra's label. And that's such a common record, but now I know why. Because it seems like 65 was really a good year for jazz, and probably a lot of people signed up for that magazine. So the next one I got, my favorite piece in my collection, and possibly the earliest Coltrane newspaper ad, is for this Billy Valentine 78 session for Beer Drinking Baby, and then How Long Blues, and it was under Mercury 8173. It's a huge little ad. I'll try and hold it up there. Super happy to have it because I can't imagine an earlier Coltrane ad. I guess you could find one with Dizzy Gillespie, maybe like a live date from like 51 or something like that. Maybe the 78 Savoy Dizzy Gillespie releases, but this by far is my favorite little ad that I had picked up. I think it's pretty important too, given the fact that Billy Valentine was one of the early guys that Coltrane got with to record. So next one I got, signed CD by Emanuel Wilkins, probably one of the best alto saxophonists out right now. I got to see him live, luckily, upstate at the Clifford Brown Jazz Festival maybe a year ago now, probably a little over a year ago. Super happy to meet him and got to talk with him and told him how big a fan I am of him. And, I hold him up there with Coltrane, although not, next to it. But, so he signed that for me, and I kind of regretted not bringing my record because I want to get all my records signed eventually, at least for the new players and stuff like that, like Joel Ross and all those guys. So at least I got a CD signed. Then the next one I'll go to is a Johnny Mercer 78 Capitol promo disc, I would say. It was mailed to all the record stores in the surrounding area of the Capitol Records building. Maybe I would just say LA, all the record stores surrounding LA. So it was just like, I think it's made of paper or some type of cardboard, and I think the song on it was like Jingle Bells or some other Christmas tune where they're all singing in the background. It sucks that I can't listen to it because it's on this material, but I figured I'd pick it up because I think Johnny Mercer is pretty important given the fact that he founded Capitol Records with Buddy DeSilva. And then also, like I said earlier in the video, Johnny Mercer is one of my favorite singers and writers, so super happy to have that. And I think it's a neat Christmas decoration too to have up around this time of year. I guess I'll go to some of my signed records. Blossom Dearie 1975, Volume 2, and signed, Sincerely, Blossom Dearie. And then got another one, signed for Courtney, Blossom Dearie. Although this one isn't an original. And then probably my favorite signed piece by Blossom Dearie, Volume 1 on Daffodil Records. And then one that's not, jazz, but it's kind of modern blues, rock. Figured I'd mention it. Gary Clark Jr. signed, Sonny Boy Slim. I picked this up from a record store that was selling it on eBay, and it came with the promotional poster too. So I guess you could consider this a promo copy that was mailed to a record store, maybe giving thanks or something like that, because it is signed. And I've been meaning to send it in to get it, authenticated. But I mean, I'm sure it is real, given the fact that it's got the promo poster and all that. And then another one I got is a signed McCoy Tiner Expansions. McCoy Tiner had a small stint at the East, which was like an African American center where they would gather for live music, food, all sorts of things. And McCoy Tiner played there, Pharoah Sanders, a few other guys, a few lesser known jazz guys, but of the bigger names, you had McCoy Tiner and Pharoah Sanders. And I think I may have a few other things. I got this picture that came with the Sam Cooke 10-inch Record Store Day release a couple years ago. And it came with a letter and a bunch of little different novelty things. But I love that this was, one of the reproduction photos that they included in the release. And I'm glad that it's in, tip-top condition so I could frame it. And I got all the other pieces in the back of the frame just to kind of preserve them. There's like letters and stuff like that in there. And then one that's not really jazz, but I really wanted to mention it because she's one of my favorite modern R&B singers, is Ella Mai. I got a signed piece by her, authenticated by PSA. Super happy to have this because I think of all the R&B singers out today, at least, I'd say Ella Mai is definitely my favorite. She's definitely got a jazz style to her. I seen a video of her singing Autumn Leaves in high school, and ever since I seen that, I've been like, I gotta have a jazz release by her. She's got to do something eventually. So she's probably one of my favorites, along with maybe SZA. Can't really think of any others, at least in today's generation. So I guess that's it. For my next video, maybe I'll do like a Coltrane reading guide, or maybe something else surrounding Coltrane. And I also got to do a recent jazz vinyl finds here soon. So I think this is a pretty short video, under 20 minutes. So I just want to thank everybody for watching. Again, I want to thank everybody for getting me to 1,000 subscribers. And I did announce the giveaway winner in the comments on my last video and on Instagram. It was Lavelle, who I'm a huge fan of. I was super happy to see somebody that has been watching me for a super long time. I think since I started recording videos, and he's taught me a lot too, like way before I started recording. He's definitely one of the ones that gave me a little bit of inspiration to put that first video up. So I definitely appreciate his support, and everybody else's too as well. I have an upcoming giveaway. Well, I guess not upcoming, but one that I have planned in the future for maybe when I hit 2,000 or something like that. It's a Coltrane 45. I hinted at it on my Instagram post. So if you've seen that, then you know it's coming. So anyway, just want to thank everybody for watching. So thank you.